After a decade that was nearly unmatched in the history of popular music, the Beatles finally made their split public on April 10, 1970. A moment that felt like a cultural earthquake. A world that had long moved to the rhythm of John, Paul, George, and Ringo suddenly lost its center of gravity. Amid that emotional upheaval, Paul McCartney took a step that was both bold and deeply painful. Through a press release, he confirmed he was no longer working with the band that had defined his life. He chose to go solo, a decision that was liberating on one hand, yet placed him in a creative void he had never experienced before. The early 1970s were not an easy period for McCartney. After years as part of the most successful creative force in the world, he now had to stand on his own, without John Lennon, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr to challenge and balance his ideas. His first solo album, McCartney, 1970, revealed an intimate and experimental side, but many critics felt it sounded small compared to the monumental legacy of the Beatles. The same could be said for his first two albums with his new band, Wildlife, 1971, and Red Rose Speedway, 1973, which failed to restore his position at the top of the global music landscape. But McCartney was never one to retreat. In fact, amid mounting criticism and towering expectations, he began envisioning something far more ambitious, an artistic statement that would prove not only his relevance, but his enduring ability to create greatness. Instead of recording in London or Los Angeles, McCartney chose an unlikely destination: Lagos, Nigeria. The decision was driven by a desire to step outside his comfort zone, to find new energy in a place that felt distant from the pressures of the Western music industry. But the plan nearly unraveled before it even began. Just 1 week before departure, two members of Wings, guitarist Henry McCullough and drummer Denny Sewell, abruptly quit. In an instant, the band was reduced to a trio: Paul, Linda McCartney, and Denny Laine. McCartney later described the moment as a bombshell, yet instead of backing down, he became more determined. One thought drove him forward: "I'll prove this. I'll make the best album I've ever made." Upon arriving in Lagos, conditions quickly worsened. The EMI studio they had booked was in disarray with inadequate equipment. Unstable electricity, limited facilities, and the intense heat added both physical and mental strain. As if that weren't enough, Paul and Linda were robbed at knife point, losing demos of the songs they had prepared. The following day, McCartney suffered a severe bronchial spasm that was initially feared to be a heart attack. And yet, in the middle of all that chaos, something unexpected emerged: focus, determination, and a raw, honest creativity. Over 6 grueling weeks, the small trio pieced together fragments of music that would eventually become Band on the Run, a record that felt like the journey itself, pressured, unpredictable, yet ultimately liberating. When they returned to London, McCartney received a letter from EMI dated before their departure. Its message was simple but chilling: a warning not to travel to Lagos due to a cholera outbreak. Ironically, it was in the very place he had been advised to avoid that he rediscovered himself as an artist. Released in November 1973, Band on the Run slowly but steadily climbed the charts. Then, on April 13, 1974, it reached the top of the Billboard 200, a feat it would repeat 3 times over the course of the year. The success of Band on the Run was about more than sales figures or chart positions. It was a story of validation, proof that McCartney was not merely a former Beatle, but a creator capable of rising beyond the shadow of his past. Critics and fans who had once doubted him began to change their tune. The album delivered a balance that had long been missing: bold experimentation, strong melodies, and polished production. Songs like Jet, Let Me Roll It, and the title track Band on the Run proved that the magic had never disappeared. Music author Robert Rodriguez once summed up the album's impact perfectly: It was exactly the record fans and critics had long hoped he would make. More than 5 decades later, Band on the Run is still widely regarded as McCartney's finest post-Beatles work, a turning point that not only saved his career, but reaffirmed his identity as one of the greatest songwriters of all time. And perhaps it is precisely because of the struggles behind it that the album feels so alive, like an escape that, against all odds, finally found its home.